Today we have to discuss about this dashboard, right? Like I have created here one line chart to show our expenses or income for a particular month. Okay, and here we are showing a calendar of current month. We can switch, right? But will as of now we'll use only for current month. Okay, and here is our budget chart where we'll show expenses out of total budget. Okay, so here first of all I want to make sure that before we are getting the path from path provider library, right? We are fetching path from like get documents library or get application documents directory, right? But that is crashing repeatedly here in my simulator. So rather than fetching from that, we can use the inbuilt function of get database path. It is available in this SQL light library. Okay, so we can use this and we can get the path and then we can just add our file name and pass it here. Okay, so after that today we'll understand how we will build these. Okay, so I have provided one Google Drive link where you can download the sample transactions. It is a 30 transactions of our current month. Okay, it's a February 2025. Okay, you can modify the month or whatever you want to do set. Okay, based on our transaction model, I have created a JSON data of list of 30 transactions. Okay, now I'll explain you how we can build this. So first of all, see, these are three different widgets, right? And home page is our base page where we have dashboard, where we have transaction page, where we have budgets page and one settings page, right? So I have created all the providers for like our home provider, our transaction provider, our category provider. I have added all the references here. Okay, provider, state variable, everything. And I have also mentioned the listener also, all these of. Okay, so we can have a single provider and single listener, so we don't have to create every time. We just create a new tab or new page or something. Okay, so now understand it how the I have done the code. So we have already created our home page, right? So what I have done, I have, like in the last video I have told you about the different tabs and how we were building it, right? So in this video we'll discuss how we will implement these library files. Okay, these tabs. So I have created every page I have created another file. Like for our dashboard I have a home body. For transaction list, I have a separate one. For category, I have a separate one. And for settings, we have a separate one. And these are our enums, right? We define some state variables also, like we'll add some filter also, but we'll discuss in another video. So I have created just state variables for it. Okay, so I don't have to run the builder again and again. So I have created the assume like we need this one, this one, this one, this one. So I have just mentioned this. Okay, we'll have a period between this date to this date. We have a current, we are can select which calendar month we have to show the transaction. We'll fetch from SQL, then we can show. And we have a chart category, like which category we want to show the budget. Okay, so I have just mentioned here for this home page. So now we'll move to this one. So first of all, how we'll define our home page. So also you can see here I have write a very clean code. I have just created the separate files and separate classes. I have made them component based. Okay, so rather than having 2000 lines in a single file, I have defined in different components, different classes and different files, so it can make cleaner look and any other developer can also understand these codes. We can add comments also if you want. Okay, so in home body, we have a home body is something like this page. Okay, this page is basically our home body. So firstly, I have created a list view. Okay, I have a like select category. Okay, so you can ignore this. First of all, I will move to that line by line. So I have created a list view because we have a list view here, and list view allows to build a item whatever like suppose if this area is visible. Okay, so if only these items are only built, rest of the things are not built yet. When we are scroll and navigate to that item, that the widgets will be built. Okay, so this is the benefit we have in the list view other than column. Okay, so now firstly I have a text which have a transaction summary here, and we have a text style font 20 with bold font size, right? And we have a center alignment also. Now after that we have a some space of 16. Also make sure to have a common space between each widget, because it makes very consistent and very um, organized manner. Okay, so that's why now we have another widget which is called transaction line chart, which is this. And then we have a size box for some gap here, and then we have a calendar widget, this one. And then we have a size box with have a budget chart. So if there is a condition that if current category, suppose if I select any category here, okay, I didn't create um, any filter as of now, but suppose if I have a filter where we can select the category. So if a user select any budget amount for this category, suppose if, because as I discussed earlier also, we the budget is optional for the user, right? If we user wants to select a category but not to want to set any budget, so if the user wants to set a budget, then we can show this budget chart, otherwise we will not show any budget chart here. Okay, user can select any budget category and then we can show it. Okay, so first of all, now we'll discuss with our firstly the um, the line chart. Okay, so let me just close the other ones, and yeah. So now first of all, transaction line chart. Now we'll do, firstly I have created a container here. Okay, container is basically this widget I am saying. Okay, in container I have created a border of 16, which is side and circular. Here you can see you can increase the radius based on your preference. Okay, I have set a color also like gray, width is 1. Okay, I have added some padding is basically the outer container and under this chart, like the padding between this container and this chart. Okay, horizontal and vertical. Then we have a our basic chart from which I have used it. It is from our sync fusion flutter charts. Okay, I have used this package to show to build the charts. Okay, because I have researched for many, like I didn't develop any chart as of now, so I researched for this thing, and I have tried many other packages also, FL chart or pie chart or any other packages also, but they are quite either tricky or they are not properly I am able to understand the things. So this I feel this is easy to write also, and UIs also look fine. I'm okay with this code. We can add even markers also, like for this we can add a mark where it just goes up and down, and where we have a budget amount. Okay, so that is how it looks. So I have chosen this one. So here we have some primary axis, which is a date time axis. Date format is D. Okay, D is basically date. Okay, day, I mean first January, 2nd January, 3rd January. So 1, 2, 3 will be reference to this D. Okay, and interval type days. Okay, so now we have a legend. Legend is visible, which is at bottom, like positions. Okay, legend means this. So now we have a series, like now what exactly lines we have to show. These lines means this series. Okay, so we have two lines, one for expense and one for income. Okay, data source we have to define, which is a list of chart data. Okay, so x value, what is x value and what is y value? X value will be the date and y value will be the amount, same as and I have choose a color for red as for expense. Same thing we have for income. Okay, but we have a color of green. And tooltip is basically like if you just point it to something, like hover, you will the expenses here. If I just click on this, it will show it is an income 11th of Feb to 2000 rupees. Okay, this is how it works. Okay, so now also this chart data you are saying, like chart data, basically I have created a separate class, separate model for it, because I can't directly use it in our chart, like I directly can't use the direct list of amounts. Okay, so I have to create a separate model for it. So now if you have any better way to do this, you can just comment it here. So now we have a we firstly just add a date time now, and now we have a current month. Okay, we'll fetch the current month, right? We are showing the data for the current month, right? By default we are giving filter user for to select a period, but as of now we are choosing for the current month. So I have firstly I have just find the current date, then I have found the current month. Like current month is basically the current year and month. Okay, we can use only the month also, but we can't define that it is the current month, because if I choose just double M only, so double M reference to like 2, 3, 4, April, May, June, but it year cannot be defined, right? So we have to define year and month because for the current month. Okay, now will create our monthly, will fetch the monthly transaction. Suppose if we have a data of 20 transactions or 30 transactions, we'll write the SQL query to fetch these transactions. Okay, but as of now we are fetching, we are using the sample transactions. Okay, because we are not having such much data in our database, right? So we are taking the reference from our sample transactions. So we are fetch the sample transactions. Okay, and then where we have a transaction date, where transaction date is not equal to null. This is, see, transaction date is compulsory, right? So it cannot be null, but I am taking just to be safe on that time. Okay, because if somehow in any case date comes null, then it may crashes. So that is why I have taken it as a, that it should not be null, and it should format as a, firstly it will parse the data as a string and then will be format to this format. Okay, so we can fetch it. Okay, and make sure it will be as a same current month, right? So for, so how we will do, we'll fetch the transaction for the current month. Okay, after fetching the sample our current month transactions, we have created two line series we are creating. So we have created two lists, one is for expense and second for income. So now we'll start with our loop for the monthly transactions, and now we'll parse every transaction data to a particular date. Okay, firstly we'll fetch the data, fetch the date of current transaction, then we'll find the amount and convert it to a double. Okay, if that transaction is a type 0, that means it is an expense, so we'll add that transaction in our as expense list. Okay, expense list is of chart data, and chart data have two params which has date and amount, so we add date and we have added amount. Secondly, if it is a 1, that means it is an income, so we'll add those transaction data in our income data list. Okay, transaction data and amount, transaction date and amount. Okay, this is how it works. Okay, now at the end we just showing it in our graph, right? It is showing here it something like this. Here we have expense, income, and yeah, this is how it looks. Okay, so we'll modify this code when we are fetching the data from our, we will be fetching the data from our, like this as of now you are able to see that this is the, this is, we are taking the sample transaction, right? So what I was thinking, like we'll create a variable here with the transactions variable, and we'll fetch the transactions from our SQL DB whenever we just trigger this page and pass as a parameter those transaction list to this class. Okay, then we'll just, we don't have to change here. Okay, as of now I am thinking this way, but if I create any filter, then I'll see what we can do here, because we have to maintain one variable, right? So I have already created in our home state variable also. You can see here I have created one variable also, like from to, because we are giving any parameter, right? Either we can give a particular month or we can give a parameter. So we can fetch these transactions between this parameter from directly from SQL. We can directly write a query for it. We'll get the transaction and we can just pass it as a parameter here. So I'll see this, because we have to have a on press method also, right? So firstly I'll decide how I'll create a filter, whether we have a single filter variable here, or we can just define a filter for each widget here. I'll see with that, whichever I looks fine, whatever I looks that is much good for UI, so that I'll do that. Okay, now after that, now we'll move to the next widget, which is our calendar widget. So calendar widget, I have took a library of table calendar. You can just add this package to your pub spec. Okay, flutter pub at table calendar. Okay, now here firstly I have created a container with the same things, decoration and everything. Okay, now we have a padding for vertical. Vertical means this one. Okay, so now we have a child which is table calendar. Here we'll just define here the first date and the last date. That means how much it can goes Okay, this is the first day, and how much it goes far, that is last date. Okay, and focus day, that means the focus on the current date. So that is why it is showing as gray, because that is we are pointing to a first one. Here I'll also add one I'll also add one clickable also, like whenever user click on any date, it will show a transaction list of particular that date. Okay, transactions or incomes, whatever user wants to see. Okay, now we have calendar builders. Okay, parameter where we'll define our all the like how we are showing the red and green here. Okay, so firstly let goes to our widget here. So as you can see, I have returning here in calendar builder, I have returning one inkwell, which is an on tap method. In on tap we'll navigate that current date to particular transactions list or transaction list. Okay, now we have a circle avatar which defines as a background color. If its expense is larger, then it will show red. Basically we what we are showing here, if the suppose if a 1st of February have 10 transactions where 6 transactions have expenses and 4 transactions have income, or rather than having a transaction we are saving the amount. Basically, like suppose on 1st of February I have spent around 6,000, but I gain also income of 4,000. Okay, so expense is larger, so we are showing red. And if income is more than, suppose 6,000 is income and 4,000 is expense, then we'll show green color. Otherwise we'll show this null. Okay, whether we have equal transactions, like equal amount of expense and income, or no transaction is there, so we'll define just default color, whether the it is gray or white or something. Okay, and in that we have a child which has a text basically this date, day to date string, and we have a style, like if expense is larger, basically the color matching, because black is not looking good with the red color, so that's why I make it white, otherwise it will show as black. Okay, now we have a no gestures here. Now how we are what is the like basically logic behind here? So firstly, as we have done the line chart, we'll firstly find the current date transaction. This builder is run based on current date. So firstly we'll find out the current date transaction. So here I have just create a list where I have used a where loop, where we can find, firstly we'll pass the date and fetch whether month is should be same, day should be same, and year should be same, because we are currently pointing to a particular date, right? Particular date can be, all three should be same, that's why I have added a condition for all three here. Okay, now we are fetch the, okay, we have fetched all the transactions here. Okay, we got suppose 5 transaction, 10 if transaction is 0, then total expense will be 0, and if and total income will also be 0. Okay, but if not, then we have added a parameter, we have created another start where loop, where we can just file here. What we'll do, we'll find that whenever transaction type is 0, that means 0 means expense. So what we will do here, we'll have a fold is basically allow us to define left and right value. Okay, so firstly initial value, what will be the initial value? Initial total expense will be, initial will have 0. Now we have another parameter which is total, and which is it is marking the current item. Okay, sum is basically when we are running a loop, this is a temp variable which will be equal to our total expenses when this loop ends. Okay, so now we'll just adding sum plus e is, if amount is int, then convert it to double, otherwise use it as a double. Okay, we have defined this parameter as double only, but I want to make it as a safe move, so that's why I have just added it as int or double, because when we are moving to our basically the dynamic code, like dynamic transactions, of course we are using the transaction model, so we'll not use as a key value or something, we'll just directly have some directly we are adding the amount. Okay, now total income, same thing, just we have whether the transaction type is 1, so we'll add those transaction amount to this variable, and then we'll just mark it as expense larger, just total expense is greater than total income. Okay, so this is how we defined our calendar widget. Same, see, approaches I'll take the same. If I added filter here for somehow, then I'll add here, then I'll make sure to have a pass a variable here. Okay, and I also have defined here for selected calendar month. See, So now, and I want to also make sure to remove this like navigating variables. Now at the end, budget chart I have also told you before also. Here what we will do, just created a container with all the same decorations. We have a padding, we have a column, we have a text as a budget. Okay, here, and we have a pie chart where we are showing only expense. Okay, total expense will like we are passing the category because we also have to pass a budget amount here also, and for expense we are showing the red. Okay, so this is how it works. Okay, we'll pass the parameters here in this variable here. Okay, whenever we are moved to our dynamic transactions or something. So this is how we are showing our dashboard. Now in the next video I'll tell you how we will add the filter and how we will make it dynamic. Okay, so that's all for the video. Now we'll meet in the next video. Bye bye.